Have you ever been stuck in a negotiation or a business deal or even just an argument and wished you had a map of what was going on? A blueprint to see all the possible moves and where they might lead. Well, that is exactly what we are going to build today. We're diving into the very first and maybe most important step of game theory: how we take messy, real-world problems and turn them into structured games that we can actually analyze. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to nail down what a game really is. Then, we'll explore two key blueprints for drawing them out: the super intuitive decision tree and the really powerful strategy matrix. We'll even check out what happens when players can actually team up. And finally, we'll tie it all back to the real world. Okay, let's get into it.
All right, first things first, what even is a game? And I don't mean chess or poker, not yet anyway. In game theory, a game is basically any situation where people's decisions affect each other. And to make this feel real, we're going to jump right into a pretty high-stakes scenario.
Picture this: two countries. Let's call them Eastland and Westria. They both depend on a single, massive river. It's their lifeline. Now, each country has a choice to make. They can secretly build a dam to divert more water for themselves, or they can choose not to. But here's the kicker: they have to decide at the exact same time, with no idea what the other is going to do. So we call this the water game. And here are the basic building blocks. You've got your players, Eastland and Westria. You've got their choices: divert or don't divert. And you've got the catch: it's all simultaneous and secret. The goal for each of them is simple, right? Get the best possible outcome for your own country. This is the essence of an interactive decision problem. Okay, so how do we start to visualize something like this? Our first blueprint is what's called the extensive form. And honestly, it's the most intuitive way to think about it. It's basically just a decision tree. It maps out the game step by step. To really get the hang of how these trees work, we're going to start with an even simpler example first. It's a classic business school scenario called the entry game. This will make the structure crystal clear before we go back to our big water problem. So imagine Firm B is thinking about entering a market that's totally dominated by Firm A. The game kicks off with Firm B's choice. Do we enter or do we not enter? Now the key here is that Firm A sees what Firm B decides. So if Firm B enters, then Firm A gets to make a move. Do we retaliate with a nasty price war, or do we just accommodate them and share the market? Each of these paths is a different possible future. And here's the whole map with the payoffs at the end of every branch. These numbers just show us how good the outcome is for each company, with Firm B's score listed first. So if B stays out, they get 0, and the monopolist Firm A keeps its cushy payoff of 5. If B enters and A fights back, well, they both get hurt. That's the -1 and 1. But if B enters and A just accommodates, they both end up making a profit with payoffs of 1 and 2. See? It's a complete picture of the whole strategic landscape. Okay, that was pretty straightforward, right? Firm A knew exactly what Firm B did before it had to move. But what about our water game? Eastland and Westria are moving at the same time, in secret. How on earth do you draw a map of ignorance? This is where we get a really clever little tool. It's called an information set. It's basically a way to show on our map that a player's uncertain. You draw a line or a circle around the points in the game that a player can't tell apart. And I absolutely love this note from the source material. Apparently, students often say it should be called an ignorance set, which, let's be honest, is a way better name. And here is exactly what that looks like. This is our water game again. We've drawn it as if Eastland moves first. But do you see that oval shape drawn around Westria's 2 decision points? That's the information set. It's a visual cue that tells us when it's Westria's turn to choose, it has no idea whether it's on the top branch, where Eastland already chose to divert, or the bottom branch, where Eastland didn't. Westria is choosing completely in the dark. So the decision tree is great, especially for sequential games. But for games with simultaneous moves, like our water game, there's often a much cleaner way to see what's going on. Let's look at our second blueprint, the normal form, or as most people call it, the strategy matrix. Here it is, the same water game, but now it's in a simple grid. Eastland's choices are the rows, Westria's choices are the columns. To see what happens, you just find the box where their choices cross. So for example, if Eastland chooses to divert and Westria chooses don't, we look at that top right box. Eastland gets a great payoff of 3, but Westria gets a terrible one of -4. It's just a super clean, compact way to see all the possible outcomes in one shot. Now hold on, because this is a really important distinction that's easy to gloss over. We throw the word strategy around all the time, but in game theory, it has a very precise meaning.
An action is just one move at one point in the game, like retaliate. A strategy, on the other hand, is a complete plan that says what you'll do in every possible situation. So a full strategy for firm A isn't just accommodate. It's if firm B enters, then I will accommodate. It's your entire playbook written out in advance. And that's the key. This matrix is a map of those complete strategies, not just single actions.
Okay, so everything we've looked at so far assumes our players are on their own, making their own secret decisions. But what happens if they can talk? What if they can make deals, form alliances, and work together? Well, that brings us to a whole different way of looking at things, cooperative game theory. The philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau told this great story about a stag hunt that perfectly captures the whole dilemma of cooperation. You've got a group of hunters. If they all work together, they can catch a massive stag, enough food for everyone. But if any single hunter sees a rabbit wander by, they face a choice. Do I stick with the team for the big shared prize, or do I grab the small, guaranteed meal for myself and let the stag get away for everyone? And this is the core idea of cooperative game theory. Instead of obsessing over individual moves, it asks a different question. What is the value a group or a coalition can create together? So for our 3 hunters, any single hunter acting alone can get a value of 1. Any 2 hunters teaming up can get a value of 2. But it's only the grand coalition of all 3 hunters working in sync that can get that massive payoff of 10. The whole focus shifts. It's not about predicting what your rival will do anymore. It's about negotiation, trust, and binding agreements. The game becomes, can we agree to cooperate? And if we do, how do we split the prize? Now, I know what you might be thinking. This is all pretty interesting, but it's all about these abstract numbers and payoffs. But the real magic of these blueprints is that they can handle situations that are way more complicated, way more, well, human. Take a look at this. It's a simplified model of the D-Day invasion. The Allies had to pick a beach to attack, and the Germans had to decide where to focus their defenses. Look at the payoffs here. They're not numbers. They are world-changing outcomes, victory or stalemate. This just goes to show you that we can build these strategic blueprints for almost any situation, even when you can't possibly assign a neat little number to the result. And that really is the biggest takeaway of all. Just the act of trying to build one of these blueprints, whether it's a tree or a matrix, is an incredibly powerful exercise. It forces you to stop and get crystal clear on the absolute fundamentals of any strategic problem. Who are the real players here? What can they actually do? And this is a huge one. What do they know and when do they know it? And finally, what does everybody actually want? Just answering those 4 questions can bring an unbelievable amount of clarity to a really messy situation. So the next time you're facing a tough decision, whether it's at work or just in your life, try thinking like a game theorist. Just try to sketch out the blueprint. Who are the players? What are the choices? What are the goals? You might be absolutely amazed at the clarity it brings. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What strategic game are you playing right now?